Hi and welcome. My name is Joshua from TAG, and in this video we'll start a new series on a very important topic in R and statistics in general called variables. So I start with this very beautiful image which I use often in most of my trainings to simplify the definition of a variable. And on the outside you would see this particular pink object called data, and then we have beside it a container called variable, and inside it we have a data. So let me provide us with this basic definition that would make the word variable so easy for us. It is nothing but a housing for data, like a place where we store our data. And this particular knowledge and about the concept of variable is very important for everyone who really want to understand the concept of data analysis, statistics, or anything that has to do with data. Because one of the objectives of statistics, when you see the definition of statistics, it has to do with analyzing, organizing, presenting. So with the concept of variable, what we are doing is we are trying to organize our data. So it is possible you have, for instance, you have a pool of numbers probably on a paper, and then it becomes very difficult for you to understand what each of those numbers stands for. So like you just say all of them are numbers, but you do not know maybe one of the numbers, some of the numbers are for age of a certain group, or the other one is for height. So it gets interesting and our research gets like organized when we can reasonably classify or group them under a certain population. Like we say, okay, from this pool of numbers, this particular numbers is for the height of a certain population, this is for the age of a certain population. So from there we are getting close to our aim of organizing the data, analyzing the data, and making useful inference out of that particular data. So that is one of the reasons why the concept of variable is very important. So I said a variable is a characteristics of an individual in a population, the value of which can differ between entities within that population. So for instance, age. So the age can differ. My age is definitely different from your age. So if we have in a class, for instance, as a lecturer, I have a set of students in my class, it is very sure that all of them would not be of the same age. That's what we're trying to say about variable. So the real thing is called, the variable is the age, and the data that we're storing in the variables are the numeric values, like 12, 13, 14, etc. So we have two types of variables. The numeric variable, which is also called the quantitative variable, as the name implies. It just talks about observations that are naturally recorded as numbers. There are two types of this. We have the continuous. This can be recorded as any value in some interval up to any number of decimal. For instance, 15, 15.1, 15.2, 15.01, these are examples of continuous. They have some kind of float value. When I mean float, I mean 15 point, there is something after the point, like after the decimal. But for discrete, it's just the reverse. It only takes distinct numeric values. What I mean by distinct is that it doesn't have float values. So an example is when you toss a coin. So for instance, the coin you're expecting, maybe you're going to see the head or the tail. So when you say, if someone asks you how many times was that particular, how many times did you observe a head, you won't say you observe a head 15.24 times. You would only say something finite. So you could say in a 20 flip of a coin, I observed head so times and tail so times. So the second types of variable is the categorical variable or qualitative variable. So some textbook calls it categorical, some call it qualitative. So like some discrete variables, categorical variables takes only one of a finite number of possibilities. Like discrete variables, however, categorical observations are not always recorded as numeric values. We'll see in subsequent videos, because we're going to talk about this extensively, how to deal with categorical variables in R. So there are two types of categorical variables. They are the nominal, those that cannot be logically ranked, e.g. the sets of certain people in a population. You know, sets would always have two categories, the male and the female category. So we can't logically rank them and say male is better than the female, or female is better than the male. So the order of these categories is irrelevant. The second type under categorical variable is the categorical ordinal variable, just the opposite of the nominal. They are variables that can be logically ranked, e.g. drug dosage, with possible values of low, medium, and high. So the values can be ordered in either increasing or decreasing amount depending on the nature of the research. So in this kind of variable, it is important for us to ensure that this is properly classified as ordinal when working with R, so that the purpose of our research would be achieved and not defeated. So we'll see that in subsequent videos. Let's bring it down to R now. Like, let's define variable in the context of R. So variables are nothing but reserved memory location to store values. Why am I defining it like this? Is that when we start the practical section, we will see for ourselves that the moment you create a variable in R, what happens is that it consumes a certain location. That variable consumes a certain memory locations on your computer system. So minimize. A valid variable name consists of letters, numbers, and a dot or underlined characters. Look at, because we are now at the level of some kind of rules that governs the creation of variables in R. Other softwares have their own rules, but this is for R. Look at, an important rule is the variable name starts with a letter or the dot, but ensure when you are starting a variable name with the dot, ensure it is not followed by a number. It won't work. And so any variable that starts with dot must be followed by a letter. And take note, a variable that starts with dots are missing variables. We'll see that when we start the practical section. So I have an example here on how to create variable assignment in R. So here we have established the fact that initially variable is nothing but housing for data, and here we have the first variable, which is categorical in nature. And you could see one of the first things we need to know before the video that will deal extensively on categorical variables in R. You will see that for anything that has to do with letter alphabet in R, it is always quoted. So this is another kind of variable, logical ones. So it is also stored in this container, and then we have this numeric. So variable assignment, the variables can be assigned values using three assignment operators in R. The first one is the left word, which I call the less than assignment operator, the right word, the greater than assignment operator, and the equal to operator. So the equal to in R is exclusively used for assigning variable, not at all times, because it also has some limitations which we will see, not in this video but in subsequent videos. But right now it is used for assigning variables. So if your intention is to come up with a kind of situation where you want to compare whether the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, so you won't use the equal to by saying 2 equals 2. You are going to use like double equals 2. So when you say 2 equals 2, so it gives you true, tells you that wow, what you are trying to do in this case is to say what we have on the left hand side is equal to what we have on the right hand side. So the value of the variables can be printed using the print function or the cat function. So I'm saying function here because in R When you see anything that has a bracket open and a bracket closed, it is a function coming from a certain package. We will talk about package. It's something very easy. Don't be afraid. So the card function combines multiple items into a continuous print output. We will see an example in the course of our practical section. So in this first phase of the important topic on variables in R, we have learned the definition of variables. We have seen the two types of variables that we have, and we have also seen how we can assign variables in R theoretically. 3 of them: the left word assignment operator, the right word, and the equal to assignment operator, and the result can be printed out using the print function. So we'll stop at this point, and in the second part of this video we'll continue with the practical section. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.